The Olympics are all about sports stories. Some of them are great. Some of them are those of disappointment. And in the split second yesterday at the women's water polo game, we went through both emotions. Adam Krikorian is the coach of the women's water polo. He's headed to the final. They will be in the final game, but it almost didn't happen. A bruising match between the two favorites yesterday, USA and Australia. The USA is leading 9-8 with 1 second remaining on the clock. Adam calls a timeout, but his team did not have possession of the ball. That's an automatic penalty. Southern Ash of Australia converts the shot, ties it up at 9, and they go to overtime, and I'll guarantee you most people were saying what we were saying. It's Chris Webber all over again. Adam Krikorian, the coach, joins us live on the phone line yesterday. Adam, first of all, what were you thinking at that time?
Well, I don't know if I could really repeat that on air here. I was swearing my name left and right. Obviously, a huge mistake on my part. I thought we had possession of the ball, but obviously the officials didn't think so, and I don't think it was the case. He didn't have possession, and at that moment, it's you're thinking you possibly cost your team a chance at a gold medal. So a lot of thoughts are going through your mind, and thankfully for me, the timeout or the break between the regulation and overtime is a 5-minute break. So the first 2 minutes I spent kind of just swearing at myself, and then the next 2-3 minutes I spent getting it together and getting the team back together and focused.
Is it difficult calling those timeouts? Because it seems like the ball moves so quickly, possession-wise.
Yeah, it happens. It does happen so quick, and that's why it was difficult. I saw a bit of a scram right in front of the goal, and I thought our goalie had possession, and just to avoid one of their players coming in and trying to push the ball in the goal, I called the timeout. But again, it was not a great call on my part. But ultimately, you know what? I'm actually very glad I did, because it put our team in a tough situation, and once again they proved to me, as along with the rest of the world, what this team is made of.
Yeah, you didn't do it on purpose. I know the Olympic Committee is not happy about that right now. They have suspended some players over here.
This isn't badminton.
Now, did you have to settle your team down, or when you were rifling off the F-bombs, did they kind of settle you down? Because they seemed poised in the overtime.
They were. I didn't have to settle them down. I had to settle myself down. We had a meeting right at the end of regulation, and I don't even know what I said. I just know I was probably, my face looked like I had seen a ghost. And I let him go, and as soon as I let him go, I knew that the meeting wasn't a good one. And I knew that I had to get myself together and stay composed. And we still had a shot at this thing. It wasn't like the game was over. So, a couple minutes later into the break, I called the team back over, and during the meantime, I got myself focused, and I could see as soon as I called the team over, and looked into their eyes, I could see that this wasn't going to faze them. And as a coach, that's what it's all about. If you've done your job and if you've prepared your team, they should be able to play and fight without you, even out there on the sidelines. And they showed that, their character and their togetherness and their belief in yesterday evening's match.
Your sport goes worldwide every 4 years here in the Olympics. We talk about great moments and being judged sometimes for an entire lifetime on a matter of seconds. If your team had lost in overtime, what would you? Do you have any emotions there?
Well, it's hard to say. I have a good life. I don't know if certainly it would have been tough to swallow, certainly, but sport isn't life. There's more to life than just playing a sport, and I certainly realize that it's not going to define me as a person. But to say that it wouldn't, stick with me for a while is obviously untrue. And it's ironic, getting a lot of publicity for the stupidest mistake I've ever made, probably in my coaching career. So maybe I should make more stupid mistakes.
How many times have you heard the name? It's all over Twitter today, Chris Webber. How many times have you heard those comparisons the last 24 hours?
I've heard it. I've gotten so many text messages from buddies who are not shy to give me a little ribbing.
Were you familiar with what happened with Chris Webber?
Yeah, I mean, all I will say is that I didn't travel first, number one, and number two, we actually did have a timeout. So I have 2 marks ahead of Chris Webber.
How good is this team that you have?
This team's great. It's great. I guess we'll find out more tomorrow, but I've just been so impressed with how we've come together in the last 6 months and really the last year, and we know we're one of the best 2 teams in the world, and it's just we'll find out tomorrow whether we're number 1 or number 2.
As dumb a mistake as it was, and the fact that your team came back to win in overtime, could this be a positive factor going into the final? And that there's
no question. Yeah, there's no question, and that's why I said I'm glad it happened, because I think it proved to the team one thing I've dreamed about since I took this job 3.5 years ago was for this team to play with a sense of ownership. And, when that happened and when coach makes a mistake like that, you obviously need the team to have that sense of ownership. And, I think for them to see it in the biggest moment, for them to see it only gives them confidence in tomorrow's game. And I think will help. Does that guarantee us victory? No. But I think it will help, and we'll let it ride tomorrow. So
you're not making any guarantees or anything, because we could use something like that to get the fire up the show. Yeah,
that'll fire it up too. No, I don't do guarantees. We're playing a Spanish team that plays water polo like Rafael Nadal plays tennis. So they're tough and disciplined, and we're going to need to be on our best.
Looking at this
in order to beat them.
Look at it this way, Adam. You've won 14 national championships as a player, assistant coach, head coach. If you end up and your team ends up winning the gold, this will be something that will be laughed about forever. People will laugh this off. You'll be able to laugh it off forever, right?
I think either way, even if we lose, we'll probably laugh it off for a long time. You got to have a sense of humor, right? And I think I'm going to get a lot of from a lot of friends for a long time, no matter what happens.
They'll be calling you Chris. That's okay. Hey, Adam, good luck in the final gold round. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us. That's Adam Krikorian. He's the head coach for the women's water polo. Amazing.